NASCAR's brand new in-season challenge kicks off this Saturday night at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Echo Park Speedway, my bad. 32 drivers have been placed into a tournament-style bracket. Wait a second, in-season tournament? TNT? NASCAR taking a couple pages out of the NBA's book.
No! Completely different.
In all seriousness, over the next 5 weeks, the 32 driver bracket will be whittled down to 2 head-to-head matchups, eliminations every single week. One winner will take home an extra $1 million. Drivers were seeded based on their best finishes over the past 3 weeks. We'll take a look at the bracket in a moment. I will give you my round-by-round picks and predictions. But this first week, Atlanta Motor Speedway, a drafting-style super speedway type track, it's gonna be a bloodbath. It'll be like the opening minutes of the Hunger Games. You know what I'm talking about? Where they have all the tributes kind of just line up in a circle, the horn blares, and then they just start killing each other. That's what Atlanta's gonna be. It's gonna be a brawl. 32 drivers, 16 matchups to keep track of as the pack shuffles positions every single lap. It's going to be chaos. I'm gonna do my best to break down every single head-to-head matchup and fill out my entire NASCAR in-season challenge bracket. But first, we need to thank our sponsor. NASCAR Pole Position Magazine is officially licensed, the perfect collectible for any longtime NASCAR fan. The latest summer issue features the top young drivers in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Sam Mayer, Connor Zilisch, Carson Kvapil featured on the cover. Lots of cool stuff to check out. And would you look at this, Out of the Groove even made a nifty little cameo. Click the link down in the description below to subscribe to NASCAR Pole Position for the full year. Great collectible once again for any NASCAR fan to add to their shelf. NASCAR Pole Position is an officially licensed NASCAR magazine. Be sure to check the link out down in the description below. All right, this is a little different. We don't typically talk head-to-head matchups in NASCAR, but that's what this bracket is all about. Atlanta Motor Speedway, first race, the draft, pack racing, a mini super speedway of sorts. Gonna be crazy. Let's begin with our number 1 versus number 32 matchup, Denny Hamlin versus Ty Dillon. This one's fairly easy, all due respect to Ty Dillon, but Denny Hamlin drives for Joe Gibbs Racing, is a 3-time Daytona 500 winner. Yeah, I will take Denny Hamlin to advance. This next matchup features 2 old rivals, Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. Man, 6 years ago, this would have been peak content, but now both drivers are maybe a little past their prime. They're not driving for the best organizations anymore. This should still be an interesting matchup. Brad Keselowski has run well lately, 3 top 10s the past 5 races, but Kyle Busch has been better recently at super speedway type tracks. In fact, Brad Keselowski has finished 26th or worse in all 3 drafting races this year, so maybe some will consider this an upset. Give me Kyle Busch. Alex Bowman, the 8 seed, draws Joey Logano ahead of Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's a tough break for Bowman. Logano has led like 150 laps at drafting tracks this year. Now, that being said, Bowman's got a shot because while Joey Logano spends a lot of time up front contending for stage wins, he often gets swept up in or triggers the big crash. Logano's best super speedway finish this year is only 12th. It's not who leads the most laps or even who gets the most stage points. It's who finishes better. I'll give Alex Bowman a fighting chance, but we know Team Penske is going to bring the power, so I'll pick Joey Logano in this head-to-head matchup. Bubba Wallace versus Daniel Suarez. Suarez won Atlanta a year and a half ago, that thrilling 3-wide photo finish, but was a total no-show back in February. Suarez was slow in qualifying, slow in the race, and then got caught up in a crash towards the back of the pack. I know the 2311 Toyotas had brake issues this past weekend at Pocono. Fortunately for Bubba Wallace, you don't need a lot of brakes at Atlanta, so I'll take Bubba Wallace to win this head-to-head. Moving to a different corner of the bracket now, the 12 seed John Hunter Nemechek versus the 21 seed Josh Berry. That's fitting. Nemechek has been really good lately, back-to-back 6th place finishes, but that 21 car comes out of the Penske shop. Penske so good at plate racing. Although John Hunter Nemechek did finish top 10 at Atlanta in the spring. Legacy Motor Club, great results at Daytona back in February. this might be a hot take, but I'll stick with the hot hand. That is John Hunter Nemechek. Give me Nemechek. I know he's the higher seed, but I think this would be an upset. Give me Nemechek over Josh Berry. Dude has been on a roll lately. It's not scientific, but I believe in momentum. Okay, next matchup, Chase Elliott versus Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon swooped in to win some super speedway races in the past, but you're asking me to weigh Hendrick Motorsports versus RCR. I like Hendrick. Elliott's won at New Atlanta in the past. I'll take Chase in this head-to-head matchup. Next, Ross Chastain versus Eric Jones. This is a tough one because I think Chastain is better, but Eric Jones, just talked about his teammate John Hunter Nemechek, Jones is an underrated super speedway racer. This one is tough, but I think I'll take Ross Chastain. He did finish 8th at Atlanta earlier this season. He's won at Talladega before. Give me the Trackhouse car. And then we have the 4 seed Christopher Bell versus the 29 seed Ricky Stenhouse Jr. This is also a tough draw for Christopher Bell considering Stenhouse's super speedway success. Christopher Bell is the most recent Atlanta winner, but Stenhouse finished 5th in that race. Christopher Bell has 3 top 5s in the last 5 Atlanta races, but Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has an average finish of 10th in that same span. This is a sneaky tough matchup. I think I'm going to take Christopher Bell because Bell in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota is likely to have more dedicated drafting help at the end than Ricky Stenhouse. So I'll go Bell, but this is a tough matchup for the 4 seed to draw. New corner of the bracket, Chase Briscoe versus Noah Gragson. Hey, Front Row Motorsports usually fast at super speedways, but I'll take Chase Briscoe. Joe Gibbs Racing car. Briscoe just got a weight lifted off his shoulders winning at Pocono, and he did win the pole and finished 4th in the Daytona 500 earlier this year. Next up, Ryan Preece versus William Byron. Man, RFK Racing usually runs really well at drafting tracks, and as an organization, that team seems to be heating up the past few weeks, but I think I'll take William Byron here. Won the Daytona 500 in February. The next week was battling for the win at Atlanta when he got swept up in the Larson-Cindric wreck. Then he finished 3rd at Talladega a few weeks ago, and William Byron has won twice at Atlanta since the reconfiguration, so I'll take the 24, but this is a tricky matchup. And it doesn't get any easier. Blaney versus Carson Hocevar. Man, last time they raced at Atlanta, Hocevar introduced himself to Blaney's back bumper. My gut says Blaney gets redemption. It's all about that Penske power. Blaney was 7th at Daytona. He came back to finish 4th at Atlanta despite getting spun, but Carson Hocevar did finish 2nd last time we raced at Echo Park Speedway, and he did that with almost no drafting help up near the front. This could be the matchup to watch, especially considering their head-to-head Atlanta history. Oh man, this side of the bracket is full of compelling matchups. Kyle Larson versus Tyler Reddick. Neither driver has been at the top of their game the past few weeks. We'll start there. And I wouldn't consider either driver to be great at super speedways either. But I'm going to take Kyle Larson. He won a stage at Atlanta and Talladega earlier this spring. He finished 2nd and 3rd in those races. So maybe Kyle Larson's out of his head a little bit. Maybe he's actually evolving into a halfway decent plate racer. We'll see this Saturday. Final corner of the bracket, Atlanta Motor Speedway, Echo Park Speedway. Michael McDowell versus AJ Allmendinger. The only people happy about this matchup are the other 30 drivers in this tournament, because this guarantees that at least one of the road course ringers will be eliminated by the time we get to Chicago and then Sonoma. And remember, Shane Van Gisbergen wasn't in the top 32 in points when they set the field, so he's not eligible for the $1 million. But this is Atlanta, a drafting track. McDowell's drafting finishes this year are 11th, 11th, and 13th. While AJ Allmendinger has finished 41st, that was an engine failure, 24th, and 14th. So advantage Michael McDowell. He'll also have more teammates, Spire Motorsports, so I'll take McDowell in this head-to-head matchup. Ty Gibbs versus Justin Haley. I know it's a 6 versus a 27, but this feels like a toss-up. I mean, all of these matchups kind of are toss-ups because it's a super speedway type track, but this one in particular could go either way in my opinion. Ty Gibbs has run well the past few weeks, but he DNF'd at Atlanta back in the spring. Did lead some laps at Talladega, but Justin Haley, meanwhile, 4-time Super Speedway winner in the Xfinity Series, and he's got some good teammates. One of his teammates almost won the spring Atlanta race, and his other teammate we just talked about is a former Daytona 500 winner. Good guys to lean on. Not to mention the 7 car almost won this race 3 years ago with Corey LaJoie. Justin Haley will have the same crew chief. Honestly, I've talked myself into it. Give me Justin Haley. I think he'll pull off the on paper upset. Zane Smith versus Austin Cindric. Man, all due respect to Zane, who's put together a respectable sophomore season, returning to Front Row Motorsports. But Austin Cindric is the obvious pick here. I know he's the lower seed, but it's a super speedway. He's led over 100 laps at drafting tracks this year. Obviously, anything can happen over 400 miles, but Austin Cindric will spend time up front. That is a guarantee. I'll take Cindric. And then our final week 1 round of 32 Atlanta matchup is Chris Buescher versus Todd Gilliland. This could also be a sneaky close matchup. Todd's finishes at Atlanta aren't very good, but he has led a lot of laps here over the past couple seasons. And we know Front Row is usually fast with that Penske alliance. Chris Buescher, meanwhile, has 4 finishes of 30th or worse since they redid this place. But he does have a recent win at Daytona and was top 10 in the Daytona 500 this year. I don't know what the odds look like, but Gilliland over Buescher might be an attractive upset pick. I'm going to stick with Chris Buescher, however. He's a veteran, enters this race with 3 straight top 10 finishes at a variety of tracks. RFK Racing has taken a step forward recently, and if you look ahead at the rest of this tournament, the next few rounds I think shape up really nicely for Chris Buescher. He just has to get through Atlanta. I think he will. But again, take a look at the odds. This could be an interesting upset pick if you're feeling Todd Gilliland. But that's Atlanta. First round, round of 32. Those are my picks. Whew, okay, still a ways to go. The round of 16 will take place at the Chicago Street Race. My first matchup is number 1 Denny Hamlin versus 16 Kyle Busch. So Denny Hamlin may be the top seed, but he has not been very good at road courses. 1 top 10 the past 18 races. But Kyle Busch hasn't been good recently. Wrecked at Mexico, wrecked at Pocono. Kyle Busch has the better road course numbers, no doubt. Might have had the best car at COTA a few months ago. So the question is, do we trust Kyle Busch to put a full race together? If we look at Chicago specifically, Kyle has finished 9th and 5th the last 2 years. That's pretty good. All right, I'll do it. I'll take Kyle Busch over Denny Hamlin. Do we consider that an upset? On paper, it is. Give me Kyle Busch to advance after Chicago. Joey Logano versus Bubba Wallace. Neither are great road racers. Wallace has been more consistent with 10 straight top 20s at road courses. A lot of top 15s mixed in there, but Joey finished 8th at Chicago 2 years ago. Hard to pick between these two. I'm going to use Mexico City, the most recent road course, as the tiebreaker. Bubba Wallace actually ran okay, finished 12th. Joey Logano, meanwhile, was outside the top 20 most of the race. So, all right, I'll take Bubba Wallace to advance past Chicago. Next matchup, John Hunter Nemechek versus Chase Elliott. Nemechek just finished 6th at Mexico City, but that was his first top 20 on a road course of his NASCAR Cup Series career. Chase Elliott, meanwhile, is a 7-time road course winner, has 3 straight top 5 finishes at road courses. Nemechek would be a great story. I like what Legacy Motor Club is doing right now, but Chase Elliott is the obvious choice here. Ross Chastain versus Christopher Bell could be an intriguing matchup. Chastain is a solid road course racer. He's won at Circuit of the Americas, but he kind of struggled at Mexico City a couple weeks ago. Christopher Bell, meanwhile, has finished 2nd, 1st, and 2nd the last 3 road course races, and he could have won Chicago last year. He was chasing down Alex Bowman when he got swept up in a crash. So all due respect to Ross, I think Christopher Bell will handle this matchup easily. Briscoe versus Byron. Briscoe is a solid road racer, showed us that in Xfinity, finished 7th at Mexico a few weeks ago, but William Byron is better. He has 2 wins at road courses in the next-gen car, finished 8th at Chicago last summer. I'll take William Byron to win this one. Then we have Ryan Blaney versus Kyle Larson. Larson, as usual, is feast or famine. He's won 2 of the last 6 road races. He also has 3 finishes outside the top 30 in that span. Mexico, he was just unlucky, got wrecked early on while running inside the top 10. It happens. Blaney, meanwhile, is more consistent. You can all but guarantee he'll run top 15, was 10th at Chicago last summer. But get this, Ryan Blaney has 0 top 5 finishes at road courses in the next gen car. That's 19 races, 0 top 5s. Yeah, I'll take the speed in this case, which belongs to Kyle Larson. Michael McDowell versus Justin Haley. All due respect to Haley, who granted took advantage of the rain shortening the race, strategy getting flipped. He did run second at Chicago a couple of years ago, but Michael McDowell is obviously the better road racer. Won at Indy a couple of years ago, top 5 at Mexico City. McDowell should win this matchup. I think whether it's Michael McDowell or AJ Allmendinger advancing to this round, I expect them to win this head-to-head matchup. Although, if Haley loses to Ty Gibbs versus Michael McDowell, or Ty Gibbs versus AJ Allmendinger, now that would be really, really tough to predict. But the way I have it set up, it would be Haley versus McDowell. McDowell wins that one going away. And then finally, Austin Cindric versus Chris Buescher. Ooh, I like Chris Buescher here. 18 straight top 20 finishes at road courses. Won Watkins Glen last year, top 10 at Mexico City. Austin Cindric is solid as well, but he only has 1 top 5 on road courses the past 2+ years. He's been okay, just not as good as Chris Buescher. So there you go. Those are my Atlanta, now Chicago picks. We're down to the Elite 8, heading into another road course, Sonoma Raceway. Need a quick breather. Whew. First matchup, I've got Kyle Busch versus Bubba Wallace. Pretty easy pick. Kyle has finished 2nd and 12th at Sonoma since joining RCR. Bubba Wallace's best career finish at Sonoma was 14th. That was 4 years ago. Bubba has gotten better at road courses, but he's not Kyle Busch. As long as Busch doesn't do something silly like speed on pit road or take himself out, he should win this matchup. So Kyle Busch moving on to the Final Four after the season he's had. I mean, the way I have the bracket set up, it breaks his way. Then we've got a heavyweight bout between Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell. Bell has better recent road course finishes than Elliott, but Elliott has been better at Sonoma. 4 straight top 10s there, including back-to-back top 5s. The only thing potentially working against Chase Elliott here is the point situation. If Chase is still winless by this point, Alan Gustafson may play the points game, opt for stage points over track position. Christopher Bell has 3 wins on the year. He's not really worried about points. He's going to go for the checkered flag, so that could be a disadvantage for Chase. I'm still going to pick Elliott with his recent Sonoma success to move on past the round of 8. Then we have Hendrick teammates head-to-head, William Byron, Kyle Larson. This would be intriguing. Byron is a very good road racer, but Sonoma has not been his strong suit. Kyle Larson, meanwhile, is the defending Sonoma winner. He's actually won there twice before. I'll give this round to the California kid, Kyle Larson. And then finally, Michael McDowell versus Chris Buescher. Maybe the 2 best road course racers left, at least on my bracket. Yeah, throw Christopher Bell. Kyle Busch honestly gets to mention William Byron. Okay, maybe not the 2 best, but 2 really good road course racers here. McDowell versus Buescher. Fun fact, they finished 2nd and 3rd at Sonoma last year behind Kyle Larson. Oh my gosh, you won't believe this. Michael McDowell in 3 races at Sonoma in the next gen car, all with Front Row Motorsports, a different team to be fair, has an average finish of 4.0. That's crazy. But Chris Buescher in the same span has an average finish of 3.0, and he's with the same team. That's nuts. I'll go Chris Buescher to win this head-to-head matchup. So my Final 4 for the in-season challenge is set. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Chris Buescher. Elliott, maybe Elliott's a little bit of a surprise, but Elliott and Larson, okay. Kyle Busch is like 20th in points. Chris Buescher looking for his first win of the season. This would be a huge shot in the arm for these teams if they can get all the way to the Final 4. Dover Motor Speedway, a 1-mile high-speed concrete oval, completely different than anything else this tournament has thrown at these drivers. Let's start with my hypothetical Busch versus Elliott head-to-head. Kyle Busch has 2 straight pole awards at Dover. Finished 4th last season, so this could be a close matchup. Chase Elliott finished 5th in last year's Dover race, won in 2022. Let's compare these two drivers at the other concrete tracks we've raced at this season, Bristol and Nashville. Elliott was 15th in both races, while Kyle Busch was 12th and 14th. So similar, but give Busch the slight edge. But I really liked what Elliott just showed us at Pocono. Maybe they're figuring out their intermediate speed. Chase does have 2 recent Dover wins. I'll give Elliott the edge. Really, this is a Hendrick over RCR pick. I just believe in HMS more. Chase Elliott advances to the in-season tournament championship. Next, we have Kyle Larson versus Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher does have a couple of top 10s at Dover in the next-gen car, but Larson has been just a little quicker. 2nd last season. Again, look at other concrete tracks, Bristol, Nashville. Kyle Larson dominated Bristol a few months ago, so getting to the Final Four would be a huge effort for Chris Buescher. I think his run ends here. Give me Kyle Larson, which means, gosh, and I did not mean for it to line up this way, I have an all-Hendrick championship. Chase Elliott versus Kyle Larson. Man, you know the producers at TNT would love to see that. 2 fan favorites duking it out in the Brickyard 400 for an extra $1 million. Yeah, I think TNT can sell that to the casual fan. Both drivers qualified top 5 at Indianapolis 1 year ago, but Chase Elliott finished 10th, while Kyle Larson got his Memorial Day redemption, won the race. Elliott did beat Larson at Pocono last week, finished 5th. Larson was 7th, but they're still so close. I think Kyle Larson has to be the pick if this is the matchup. Kyle Larson is my pick to win the in-season challenge. Wow, that's crazy. But I mean, if we break it down, go back to the very first matchup, I just think the bracket, the head-to-heads fell right into Larson's lap, frankly. I mean, yeah, he's not a great super speedway racer. He's finished pretty well lately, but he's going up against Tyler Reddick this weekend, who's going through a slump right now. Then we have 2 road courses. Larson is a very good road course racer. I have him matching up against Blaney, who's not as good of a road racer, and Byron, who, yeah, that could be really competitive, but Sonoma would be the destination, and Larson's better at Sonoma. The numbers don't lie. And then that other side of the bracket with Chris Buescher and friends is kind of a weak side of the bracket. No disrespect, but like the best guy in that quadrant is Buescher, maybe Michael McDowell, Ty Gibbs. Like whoever comes out of that corner of the bracket isn't as good as Kyle Larson, frankly. So give Larson the edge there. It just works out. I just think the way the bracket lined up, the track types each round, I think they fell into Larson's favor. So Kyle Larson is my pick to win the inaugural $1 million NASCAR in-season challenge. But obviously, this is a whole web of names, could go a number of different directions. Let me know down in the comment section below what your bracket looks like, or at least give me your final 4, or maybe your Elite 8. Who's your championship pick? And did I get any of my head-to-head matchups woefully wrong in your eyes? Let me know down in the comment section below. And I think every week I'm going to update the bracket, see what I got right, see what I got wrong, make some updated predictions as things change. This should be fun. This is for the fans. I know the drivers keep downplaying it. Oh yeah, we're not thinking about it. Oh, when does it start again? We're not going to change how we race. The drivers may be downplaying it, but it's really not for them. It's for the fans. Something else to follow along, to debate. DraftKings is sponsoring it. It's a betting opportunity for fans who are interested in that. It's something that TNT can sell during their brand new 5-race summer stretch of the schedule. So it's just something to talk about, an extra conversation. I doubt we'll see many drivers race all that differently. Maybe some of the road courses will see some strategy calls, considering where drivers may be in the points, win, and you're in, stuff like that. Once we get to the final 4, and again, that $1 million is more attainable, then I could see drivers tailoring their strategy to compete with their direct competition. But like Atlanta this weekend is going to be a bloodbath. There, everyone's just going to go for it, and we'll see what happens when they cross the checkered flag. I think after Atlanta, it's going to be a lot easier and more interesting, frankly, to follow the remaining 16 drivers left in the bracket. We just got to get through Atlanta. Okay, that's how I view this. Get through Atlanta, see who's alive, and then we can really follow the breadcrumbs and see who is in the best position to win this whole thing. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you all for watching. We'll talk news, got some interviews lined up for this week and a whole lot more, so plenty of upcoming videos you won't want to miss. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I'll talk with you again soon. Thanks for watching, folks.